Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Tarot Tuesday. Tarot Tuesday. Today we are talking about dun, 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 the Death card. This is the dreaded card, and this is putting it mildly, guys, because in this particular deck, it actually looks okay. I'm going to see if I can find it. I should have tried to pull it out in one of the other decks, but this deck, sometimes you have softer decks that because the publisher knows people are frightfully fearful of this particular card, they try to give you an image that's not quite as graphic. And then traditionally, it's been one of maybe 5 cards in the tarot deck that has really scared people away from the tarot and caused them to be spooked by it or to feel that it was evil. Look at this. If you saw this card, y'all, how would you feel, y'all? Is that card going to really inspire you? So you see what I'm talking about. And that's from the Thoth tarot deck, okay? The Millennium Thoth deck. But the Death card, y'all, it's a beautiful card. Depending upon where it lies in a spread. Wherever it lies in a spread, it's an amazing card. Take a look. You see that white rose, or I don't know what type of flower it is. I think it's a rose. It symbolizes purity and new beginnings, okay? You see this one here? Usually, and this looks like a DNA karmic chain here. So this could actually represent karma and DNA. When I look at that, that's what I see. But you see the skeletons, you see death here, right? Also, there's you see there's almost an image here. This looks like a fish or some type of sea animal back here. But you see the skeleton, whatever, y'all. This is not going to make you cozy at night. But this card is beautiful because this card is about things that must come to an end in order for something new to be born. These are processes that we all go through in life, just like the law of rhythm in the Kabbalion talks about. Everything is cyclical, right? We have ebbs. Excuse me. We have ebbs and flows. We have peaks and valleys. We have highs and lows. Every time something dies, something is born. Every time a door is closed, another one opens, right? Oftentimes, we resist the death of things in our lives that need to go. And by prolonging the death, or by prolonging the release of something, we suffer even more. We suffer needlessly. And then the battle scars of life become more apparent. This card, if it comes up in a spread in the present position, it can let you know that the person is in the process of letting something go, or something is dying in their life, depending upon the other cards in a spread. If it comes out in the future position, this card can represent something that is going to need to be let go of or released or allowed to die in order for you to move to the next cycle. If it comes up in the past position, it can represent something that has already died, like a marriage, or your affiliation with a particular job, or something within you. Something new is being born. So when I think of this card, I always think of the butterfly, because the butterfly goes through so many transformations, and it finally gets its wings. And then after it gets its wings, you know, the cycle just continues. Not with the same butterfly, I don't think, but y'all get my drift, right? The chrysalis. So it's like really recognizing that in life, part of the only constant thing in life is change. And change implies the death and the rebirth and the recycling of matter, of energy, of everything. So when the Death card comes up, depending upon the cards that are around it, it can represent the need to let go of a relationship, the need to let go of a job, the need to let go of your living arrangements. It can represent the need to let so many things go. Oftentimes, it can represent our resistance. So sometimes when this card is upside down, depending upon the other cards in a reading, I interpret it to mean that the person is fighting letting go. And whenever you're fighting letting go of something, first of all, we have to understand that letting go is a mercy. Even though it doesn't feel like a mercy, and even though we don't perceive it as a mercy, letting go is a mercy from the Creator. it's something that we do in order to live a better life. It's something that we do that represents that we have outgrown something and that we're ready for a new experience. But when we resist it, we run into all kinds of obstacles because we're resisting the natural flow of life. Everything must change. In order for us to grow and become our best selves, we have to let go of our need to cling to the past and the things that make us comfortable. So when you see this card, this card is beckoning change, but it's also beckoning the blessings of building a new foundation, of starting something new, of feeling invigorated again. Because naturally, at the end of a cycle, once you go through a healing process, what then happens is you shoot upwards. Your passion comes back. Your sense of purpose returns. Your desires and your divine inspiration, your ability to move forward on your divine path continues. But it cannot happen unless and until you're ready to release your attachment to something. So at times this card can represent our inability to release our attachment to something. Now, in rare cases, if this card shows up with like the 3 of Swords, the 10 of Swords, it can represent a literal death or someone, I try to stay out of the business of predicting those sorts of things because there are too many possibilities. And I'm not a tarot reader that is very fond of predicting the future because to me, just based on my belief system, we have multiple possibilities and timelines and parallel universes. And giving someone a belief is enough to make it a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when I try to read tarot, when I read tarot, I may give them the trajectory of a particular situation and the way the energy is moving and what possible outcomes are available to them if things continue in that particular fashion. But I'm clear and I make sure I let my clients know that everything is based on free will. And that's a gift that we've been given, which allows us to influence all situations. So no matter what may be waiting or what we may feel is the projected outcome of a situation, we can always change the events by changing ourselves, by changing our attitude, by changing our perceptions, our interaction with events, people, and circumstances. So, yeah, this card has been known to predict a death, especially if someone is coming and asking about health or something of that nature. But again, that's not something that I like to do. I don't even want to be involved with doing readings of that nature. There are too many other things that the cards are very good at doing without us trying to predict dreadful, dreadful events. But this is a beautiful card, and it's a card that if you are a tarot reader or you're interested in becoming a tarot reader, you want to just make sure that you keep an open mind when you see the death card. Think of all the, I don't know what this is about, excuse me. Think of all of the things that die and what they give birth to. When the trees die, they give birth to new blooms in the springtime. When animals die, they fertilize the soil and give birth to rich compost. Whether they're animals or food that goes back into the earth, everything is recycled. Nothing ever really dies in the first place in terms of a physical death. I think that's also important too. Nothing ever really dies in the first place. But this is a beautiful card. And we talk about transformation. We talk about death, we talk about rebirth, we talk about allowance, we talk about surrender, we talk about not resisting the course of the way events are going. We talk about, like I said, new beginnings. We talk about resurrection, all right? We talk about what it feels and what is required in order to be reborn and to establish new foundations in our life. So begin to really love on this card. If you have a tarot deck and you're afraid of this card, do not be afraid of this card. It's a very powerful card. And when it comes up in a reading, it means business. That person is either trying to hang on to something they need to let go of. This often comes up in readings related to relationships, okay? Or they are prolonging the inevitable. And that's another point I want to make. Typically, when this card shows up, especially if it's in the present position, because it's a major arcana card too. It's a death card. It's a major arcana card. There are 22 in the deck. These are things that are out of our control. Okay, that's probably, I should have said that in the beginning. That's one of the most important points. And what that underscores is that something's already dying. So you're going to have to let it go. It's just a matter of you deciding if you're going to resist it or not. But when the card shows up, something's already dying. You're going to have to let it go. So you get to decide how you're going to let it go, and if you're going to fight it, if you're going to put up some resistance, if you it's going to be some pushback or whatever. So this lets you know that whatever it is for sure has come to an end, and it's time for you to move on, and you can either be part of the problem or part of the solution. You can either go willingly or you can go by force, but it's definitely going to happen, okay?